Imagine you are in the middle of combat. You have hundreds of other soldiers shooting guns at you, and then you have one of your own teammates behind you shooting a 50 cal inches above your head, and then all of a sudden, yo, what's going on, everybody? I am Kaya Davelar. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. Before we start the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all greatly. Y'all mean the world. So let's get into this video for you. Hey everyone, so today we're going to be reviewing and kind of giving you a brief summary of today's book, Scars and Stripes. I actually just finished this book a few days ago. I'm super excited to review this book and give you all the lessons I've learned from it. And so if you want to see those lessons, stay till the end. We will be going over them then. This is hands down top 5 books I've ever read. I just recently found out about Tim Kennedy about a few months ago from the Joe Rogan podcast. So I got his book, and his story is absolutely insane. I think one of the main things that really makes this book unique is he writes it in the first person present tense point of view, and it's not something that you see very often. I think that's an awesome way to convey his story and his message. Throughout the book, he uses multiple short stories and goes through in the present tense as everything goes on. And it's such a unique way that I'm not used to reading, and honestly, I love it. I think one of my favorite things about this book is how honest Tim Kennedy really is. He almost puts himself in a negative light at times. It's just such a unique way to write the book. I really appreciate the honesty in how he goes about writing this. One of the stories in the book, he talks about how he ended up getting 2 girls pregnant in the same time, and he was just dealing with a lot. He didn't know where he was going in life, didn't know what he wanted to do. He felt like he let everyone down, so he just goes out to the ocean, strips everything down, jumps in. It's freezing cold. He just starts swimming into the middle of the ocean. He swims out there multiple miles, and this is the middle of the night. No one saw him do this. It's been like a couple hours, and he just keeps swimming. He doesn't even care about getting back. He's freezing to the point where he's so exhausted and just doesn't know what he's going to do, and the fog is so thick that he has no sense of how to get back because he's so far out. He went a couple miles and he doesn't know which way is the right way to get back to the shore. I'm not going to tell you how that ends because you got to read the book for yourself. Another point I forgot to mention about how brutally honest he is and why he had ended up in the ocean in the first place was he had actually just had a girl that he had hooked up with call him and told him that he needed to get tested for HIV, that she had it. Imagine getting that news. You find out 2 girls are pregnant and then another girl might have possibly given you HIV. That is just mind-blowing. To find all this out in a matter of a couple weeks span, it just had to have been so much pressure because I believe he was like early 20s at this point. A big part of Tim Kennedy's life was fighting, and he talks about that a lot in this book. He talks about his time in the UFC and training with all these amazing fighters such as Chuck Liddell, and talks about just getting his ass beat by him. I just love how brutally honest this guy is in writing this book. I can't say enough good things about it. Another big part of this book is him talking about his military experience. And that's actually how I hooked you guys in the beginning of this video, because one of the main things is he's in the middle of battle. He has hundreds of enemy soldiers shooting at him while he has his own teammate shooting a 50 cal over his head. And he talks about all these different experiences while he was in the middle of combat. And it's crazy. He talks about all the hardships he had to deal with and everything that he had to see, all the trauma he had to go through, and he continues to keep going. And the fact that he can be so open about everything he's done, it's a really cool thing to see him talk about his stories and share that with everyone. If you want to read this book, I definitely recommend it. I'll put a link below for you guys. Now let's get into some of the lessons I learned from this book. One of the first lessons I learned in this book is self-accountability. So many people look to blame other people instead of looking to themselves where the blame might actually need to be put on. I think he does a great job at showing that you need to be self-accountable in order to grow. Another great lesson in this book is learn from your mistakes. At the beginning of the book, Tim Kennedy starts as a young boy, and at the end, it's to his present self. And he does a great job at showing how much he's grown. When he was young, he always wanted to fight people, and he had a super bad temper, but as the time goes on, you really get to see him grow as a person and how much the military has helped him develop and do the man he is today. And it's kind of cool. It's like a full circle moment where you see how much he's grown. Another great lesson is acknowledging your self-growth. I believe so many people today are so hard on themselves and they don't realize how far they have gotten. For say, if you look back at the person you were 2 years ago and then you look at who you are now, most of the time there is going to be progress. And I think you got to be okay with where you're at but always be pushing for better. But it's okay to acknowledge that you have grown, and don't be so hard on yourself all the time. Always be useful, even in times of pain. There's a point in this book where he talks about death and how him and his family were able to keep pushing forward through these hard situations. Whenever something gets hard, you don't want to just shut down and stop moving forward. You got to keep moving forward. Even if it's baby steps, you got to keep moving forward. Don't let your ego run you. This one is another really good one because so many people, especially men, have such huge egos and they let their ego drive who they are. Ego clouds your vision. So you don't want to let your ego run you because you're not going to be thinking clearly. Do what's right no matter the consequences. There's another point in the book where he talks about how you have to do the right thing no matter what the negative consequences for you may be. When you do the right thing and are selfless about a situation, I think that helps develop who you are and develop your character. And I think that's a really positive thing. To end it off, there's a point in the book where Tim Kennedy has this huge internal conflict. He can't decide whether to stay in the military or pursue his fighting career. He goes around asking all these people what he should do, but no one has answers for him. And so I wanted to read you this paragraph directly from the book. That's when I bump into my first senior, 18 Bravo, Ben Rios. I explain my conundrum. He thinks for a minute. You ever try to date a girl who doesn't like you, and then you try to like her enough for both of you because you just like her so fucking much? He asked me. Yeah, I respond, not sure where he's going. If the Army loved you, they'd give you a way to make this work. They'd make you sign a longer contract. They'd outline recruiting things you had to do or deployments you have to take. Could you do what they are doing to one of your guys? Would you make someone you loved choose? That's not love. That's envy. Are you going to let someone else's envy dictate your life? Meanwhile, how long can you be at a peak performance? How long can you do this thing that you have been gifted, truly gifted, to do? He stops for a minute and lets me absorb the words. I don't know what to say back. After I pause, he starts again. Tim, you don't owe anybody anything. Just get out there and become a champion. Do not love anything that doesn't love you back. We're all expendable. If you die in the next deployment, the Army will not mourn you. Only your friends and family will. As your friend, I'm telling you to prioritize what's best for you and your family. And I gotta say, I think that's fighting. I thank him for his comments, and I mean it. I made the right call. So that's going to do it for today's review, guys. I appreciate y'all if you made it this far. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. You guys mean the world to me. I also have a vlogging channel if you guys want to go check that out. I'll link that down below as well. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace.